I am Jim Collison, and this is the CliftonStrengths podcast, season 3, recorded on January 26th, 2024. In this CliftonStrengths podcast series, we'll look at how to feel more energized and motivated at work, one theme at a time, and today's theme is futuristic. If you're listening live, you can join us in chat, or if you're listening after the fact, you can send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. Dr. Jaclynn Robinson is our host today. She works as a senior learning and development consultant and joined me for season 1 and 2 of the CliftonStrengths podcast, where we looked at the book Well-Being at Work in season 1 and the CliftonStrengths role-based reports in season 2. Love to have you go back and listen to those. But Jaclynn, always great to see you. Welcome back.
Thank you.
We are spending time this season thinking about bringing energy and motivation with your themes to work. By the way, you can insert home or play into that same spot, right? It
Exactly.
doesn't have to just be work, but today we're talking about futuristic, and this is a fun one. I have a little theme envy here. Let's talk about the individual first. What are some ways an individual with futuristic can feel more energized by focusing on their basic needs?
Well, as a futurist, it's not uncommon that you are looking at the forecast of what's on your plate, what you have on your to-do list that's coming up next. So when you're doing that, when you're looking at the week ahead or maybe the month ahead in your calendar and really looking at what do I have that's coming up shortly, consider where you still need answers or resources that are going to help you prepare for or conduct your work. So, for example, if you have a upcoming presentation, what information do you still need in order to put it together? Is it data? Is it resources? Is it knowing who's going to be in the room so you know who to cater the presentation to? But thinking about that ahead of time and getting the answers can help you avoid any snafus or, obstacles in the future.
I think it may be a situation too, and I want you to respond to this, where you might need to plan some time to think about the future. And I know that sounds
Yes.
weird, but we get so busy in the day that from a basic needs standpoint, we may need to set aside time that's just future thinking time that, by the
Yeah.
way, I don't think has to have results tied to it. Like,
Hmm.
that's one of those things to dream, to look ahead, to say what could be, to be in a place where you just get to kind of roll kind of roll through the possibilities. I don't know, respond to that. What do you think
Oh,
of that?
yes. Oh, yes. Um, I would agree and underline that think
Yeah.
time to just ideate and create and dream is
Yeah.
very helpful.
Yeah, and it may take some intentionality in that. It may take some planning about the future to plan for the
Yeah.
future, right? One of those kinds of things
Yes.
to say, "Hey, you know what? I need this much time each week, or I'm gonna set aside this time, or I'm gonna use this time, after dinner, whatever. However that works for I'm gonna wake up early and give myself some intentional time to and not just think, but dream and feel. Like, I think when we
Mhm.
think right, when we think about these as futuristic, to me anyways, as I think about it, is one of those, like empathy, I think it's like one of those feeling themes in some ways. The future's not actually there. We haven't actually done anything yet. We're thinking
Yeah.
about the hopes and dreams and the value of success in the future. That creates an
Yes.
emotion, right? And I think we need some of those kind of things. I don't know. Would you add anything to that?
I think you just summed up so well when we think about individual strengths and development, how uh people with futuristic can be energized by that. It's that. It's
Yeah.
give yourself the opportunity to think or let people know if it's the workplace how important it is for you to be able to think.
Yeah.
Because thinking about the future is key. That's where the energy is.
Mhm. I just got chills thinking about somebody with high futuristic thinking about the future. Just in that moment of like of
Yeah.
dreaming of what could be. That is a mid 20s or early teens or late teens for me. So it happens. There's some cool things with it, but I think of those high with futuristic. When you think about that, that's pretty cool. What are some ways an individual with futuristic can feel more energized by focusing on their individual strengths and development?
Yeah, so if we take what we're talking about and just kind of put some guardrails around it, um, this could take the form of thinking about and preparing for an assignment or visualizing how to carry out work. It could be planning how to communicate a vision to somebody. As team members, sometimes we have to help other team members catch up with a task, or we're onboarding into a project. How do we want to communicate the impact they're going to have with this project? But regardless of whether it's on a practical matter or a creative matter, just having time to let your mental juices flow where you can plan or create is going to be what's energizing. So I think it's exactly what you had mentioned, Jim. And then those might be some examples of the way it could show up when you're giving yourself that freedom to think and
Hmm.
or create in your head.
Hmm. Yeah. What are
Yeah.
some ways an individual with futuristic can feel more energized by building partnerships and finding purpose within their role? I might have alluded to some of this, but what are your thoughts?
Oh, yeah. This is fun. It's like a moth to a flame or a bee to a flower.
Mm.
Someone with futuristic finds other people that are also futurists. And there's a lot of fun and engagement in just being able to talk about the future, whether it's share team goals or personal goals, where you just want to share it out with other people about, what's on your focus board, or what your future goal is for the year, what your word of the year is. It's just fun to have those conversations. So I think anytime those folks are paired together, there's going to be a lot of fun and excitement and smiles on the faces. But regardless, pairing with folks who are purpose driven and inspiring can really engage individuals with this theme as well. So it's not just about the futurists, but other people that are just, they've got a message or they're inspiring. And it's like, yeah, I can see the future even through what you're sharing with me. Or you've got maybe such focus or such direction that I can see this picture, and then you're going to help us get there. So it's pairing with individuals like that can really just help you um, put a little more fire behind that
Hmm.
that dream that
Hmm.
you have, or that creativity that you've got in your head.
Yeah, we see a lot of this paired with strategic
Yeah.
as well, right? I mean, those two follow each other sometimes, and
Yes.
so just kind of thinking through what could be and how are we going to get there, working well together. I get kind of excited thinking about that. I
Yeah.
love those kinds of sessions where we can look both near and far. I mean, listen, the
Hmm.
future is just a second from now. That's the future. It's here. It's here and again. It's here now, right?
Yep.
I mean, right. And so I think sometimes we think both short and long term successes in these for that individual. As we think about the manager, let's transition to that, and we think about the manager with futuristic. How can a manager support others with their basic needs?
Well, as someone that naturally looks ahead at what the future holds and appreciates knowing the goals or forecasts for the team, this individual can really help the team gain visibility on what their quarterly and annual work is going to entail. And that can create stability when employees know what to expect. And if you can tie hope into that, hey, this is what you are focusing on this quarter or this year, and this is how you're creating impact, and you're tying it back to that impact or to that mission, then that can be really inspiring for them.
What about, and I love this question. This has just been my favorite question of the season. How can a manager
Yeah.
with futuristic help others feel seen, heard, and valued as an individual? I'm
Oh,
interested in what you have to say on this one.
this, and for anyone with futuristic listening, you might do this too, but there's a genuine curiosity about what people want to do for their future. What are your goals? What are your aspirations? So, as a manager, if you're leading with genuine curiosity about your team members' future goals or aspirations, you're really listening in and then following up with how you can support through, development, mentorship, skills building opportunities, or just being that champion for them. If it's a personal goal, it shows that you care about making those aspirations a reality.
Mhm. Yeah, I think as a manager with high futuristic, it gives you a great opportunity to see some to build development
Hmm.
into the individual. In other words, this is what could be for you
Hmm.
in the this is what I can see for you if we do some of these things, or a variety of things that are out there to help the individual who may not dream, who may not see,
Hmm.
who may be in the day to day. Not that
Yeah.
then that may they may be very, very powerful in the day to day, and that doesn't mean we need to rip them out of that to be all of a sudden to think about the future, but to
Yeah.
partner with them, right? To come alongside and say, "Let me think about the future for you. How does this sound?" Right?
Yes.
What are some things here? What could you do? I think of that That we have that question of how can a manager with Futuristic build trust, inspire, and deepen team collaboration and community. To me, that's inspirational,
Mm-hmm.
right? What else do you think on that as we think about that question?
No, I think
Build
that's
trust and
yeah.
inspire. Yeah.
Build trust and inspire. I think it's once well, everything that you just said. And then I would say, even when that team goal is clear and in your mind as a manager, how are you going to help paint that picture out loud? Because to your point, some people might just be thinking present moment or one day ahead. They might not be looking at that bigger picture.
Hmm.
How can you help them? How can you, with your words, communicate that vision that you see in your head?
Hmm.
I've heard, it's one of our internal strength coaches say, how do you help other people see, touch, and taste the vision that you have in your head? Because when you can do that and you land that message, it's going to be really motivating and get people moving forward.
Yeah.
So even if they are just present moment, now they're excited for the future and what it could
Hmm.
be.
Well, that idea of bringing collaboration too, of looking ahead to get hey, this is what could
Yes.
be. Um, we have a big initiative that was had a press release yesterday in the city of Omaha, and it
Yeah.
was purely inspirational, purely like there's no money tied to this thing yet. There's nobody's bought anything. But it was purely this. Hey, look at what could be for this piece of land, so to speak,
Hmm.
and very futuristic, right? And sometimes if we don't do that, we don't get that. We don't ever get there of someone needs to say, hey, you know what? This is what could be. Because today we're using that piece of land to play ultimate frisbee at lunch, right? you know, and they're like, hey, we could build a stadium there. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, right. And I mean, it just so a manager with that from an individual perspective can bring that inspiration, right? Can both inspire, but to the individual, but to the team collectively, drive them
Yeah.
forward in a way that may help them achieve things that naturally they never would have gotten to because they're day to day or they're functioning day to day, right?
Yeah.
I think that's very, very powerful for Futuristic in
Yeah.
this
That's a
idea
good
of team
point.
collaboration. Yes, think about wrapping this one up, Jaclynn, how can a manager with Futuristic support the growth of each team member?
Um, well, so I think you touched on this really well because it's easier for someone with futuristic to talk about the future, but not all team members are going to see the future. Some are
Mhm,
going to struggle. So when it comes to those who might not know what the future holds, I love what you said about let me think about the future for you.
mm,
Um, and you might ask a question, hey, what do you love to do right now? Let's think about potential skills, partnerships, or tasks that can help you build on that. Let's cultivate that and build it into your individual development plan. And we'll just keep having these quarterly check ins to see how that's going for you. So you might be establishing their building blocks one block at a time because they don't see the whole empire that they want to build within the organization yet.
mhm,
So it might be much easier for you to work with those that do see the future. Those are just some strategies for those that might have a hard time and maybe don't even want to look a year ahead. It's like, can I just live in the moment? And we think about things like adaptability. Let me just be in the moment.
mhm,
Great. What do you love doing now? And how can I support you?
mhm,
And we'll check back
mhm.
in 3 months. You might not be thinking about it, but I'll follow up with you at that point in time. Um, but yeah, I think the career goals and development is something that's going to be naturally top of mind for someone high
Yeah,
in futuristic.
yeah. Before I ask you to wrap this, I think we are here today. You and I and everyone in the chat room are here today because 12 or 13 years ago, a group of people with high futuristic got together and said, hey, we could do this really cool coaching community thing. Now, they
Yeah.
didn't think about I don't know if they thought about this, but this is a direct result of it, right? And
Yeah.
you and I have spent the last 3 years and all the things we've done around Theme Thursday called to coach, because some people took a chance and said, hey, this is what could be, and then kept pushing it forward, always pushing out that futuristic bubble, so to speak, of
Mhm.
staying 3 to 5 years ahead and inspiring others to continued action in the day. Because listen, futuristic doesn't happen. Again, it's in
Mhm.
the future. It hasn't happened yet. something has to happen in the day for that to be successful, and those folks have to work together. Jaclynn, with that, would you wrap it for us? Any final thoughts as we think about Futuristic?
Yeah, I think maybe if you have futuristic high, it's thinking about how it shows up for you first and foremost. So you can think about how to cultivate it for yourself and others. So with futuristic, we see strands. Some might think a week ahead into the future. I know someone that put a 30-year resume together about their future. Some are going to think about futuristic in their own goals. Some might be thinking more about their goals and other people's goals. Um, some think about the world. What's the future of the world look like? Some are going to be thinking more local level. And so that's probably going to be helpful first and foremost is what does this look like specific for you? And then how can you apply or maybe pull out some of what we've talked about today to help shape it in a way that's going to be constructive for you in the workplace as a team member and or a manager.
Such a great reminder. You and I sit here and expound on these things. These are our thoughts. We don't know you. You've
Yeah.
got to work. We're hoping to inspire you. We're going to lean into Jaclynn's Futuristic for a purpose and mission for why we're doing this today, so that in the future. By the way, all these podcasts are very futuristic because most people are going to listen to them in the future, and we have 15 or 20 with us today, but most people are going to listen to these in the future. So by nature, they're a futuristic exercise. I think that's why you do so well in them. It's really up to you, right? And the things that
Hmm.
in you, not you, Jaclynn, but you over there, but you, the listener. How can you be successful at this? And
Yeah.
Jaclynn, appreciate your thoughts on that as well. Well, with that, we'll remind everyone to take full advantage of all the resources we do have available in Gallup Access. Head out to my.gallup.com, sign in. New top 5 report that's out there. Super, super cool. If you haven't checked that out yet, you might want to. It's weird. 7 years from now, someone's going to hear me say that, and they're like, "That's an old report." That's the crazy,
Yeah.
right? They're like, "Oh man, it was new back then." Check it out today. It's available for you, for everyone, and you can download that and interact with it for coaching, master coaching. Or if you want to become a Gallup certified strengths coach, you can send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. Join us for the 2024 Gallup at Work Summit. You and I think I can say this. I'm going to say it anyways. You and
Do
I are
it.
going to be spending some time with the virtual crowd again this year. You more time, so you're going to get more of Jaclynn and less of Jim, which should be super cool.
J
So
and J at it again.
you're right. If whether you're in person, you'll see us, or if you're virtual, you'll see us. We're everywhere. Join us at the summit, gallupatwork.com. We'd love to have you both, either virtually or in person. In person's better, but whatever you can do, join us. Stay up to date with all the webcasts by following us on Facebook and LinkedIn. Following me is the best way to do it, or searching CliftonStrengths on any social platform. If you enjoyed it, hit those like and subscribe buttons. And by all means, if you found it helpful, share it. Find your futuristic friends, share this with them. We'd appreciate that as well. For those
Mhm.
listening live, stay around for a little bit of a post show. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.